Welcome to Kingdom Stories, where faith comes to life. At Kingdom Stories, we bring powerful, faith-filled storytelling that inspires, uplifts, and encourages. Through modern-day parables and real-life narratives, we showcase God's presence in everyday life. Subscribe now and be part of a community where faith meets storytelling, and every story points back to God's love and grace. And now, let's begin.
When the world shakes. Caleb Daniels lived a steady, ordinary life. He worked as a logistics coordinator. His wife, Tessa, ran a small event business, and together they built a life grounded in faith and routine. But lately, the world didn't feel steady. The news was filled with unrest, political division, and an unstable economy. At first, Caleb tried to ignore it. God's got us, he'd say. But when his company announced upcoming layoffs, that confidence started to fade. Tessa noticed the worry on his face. "Babe, God has never failed us before. Don't worry." Caleb nodded, but his heart was uneasy. He wanted to believe, but uncertainty was louder than faith. 2 weeks later, Caleb's position was cut. Just like that, years of stability vanished. Driving home that night, he whispered, "Lord, I've done everything right. Why this?" Breaking the news to Tessa wasn't easy. She held his hand and said softly, "We'll be okay. God hasn't changed just because the world has." But as the weeks passed, their savings thinned. Tessa's clients began canceling due to the economy. The bills stacked higher. Caleb applied for dozens of jobs. No responses. One evening, the power flickered out during a storm. In the dark, Caleb's frustration boiled over. How are we supposed to make it when the world's falling apart? Tessa looked at him calmly. Maybe that's the point. Maybe God's trying to show us that our peace doesn't depend on the world. Her words stayed with him long after the lights came back on. Caleb sat alone at the kitchen table, surrounded by unpaid bills and silence. For the first time in weeks, he opened his Bible. His eyes fell on Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way. He read it aloud, slowly. The words sank deep. It felt like God was whispering, "Even now, I'm here." The next morning, Caleb received a text from an old coworker. "Heard about the layoffs? My brother's company needs short-term help. Interested?" It wasn't ideal, but he said yes. That one open door led to another, more hours than a full-time offer. Around the same time, Tessa landed a major last-minute event that covered their bills. A refund check arrived in the mail. A friend dropped off groceries, saying, "God told me to bless you." Each moment was a quiet miracle, a reminder that God still provides, even when everything shakes. Months later, the world was still unstable, but Caleb's heart wasn't. He'd stopped starting his mornings with the news and started them in prayer. The chaos outside no longer controlled the peace inside. One evening, Caleb said to Tessa, "You know, I used to think peace came from everything going right. But now I know it comes from knowing who's in control. The world may tremble, but our God never will." Remember, when everything around you feels unstable, when economies falter, nations divide, and fear spreads, God's kingdom cannot be shaken. Trust God.
Subscribe now and be part of a community where faith meets storytelling.